Thank
So
you.
here's what happened last night. Here's the notifications I started getting on my social media medias last night. We have started bombing Iran, and not in a nice way. And Iran has retaliated. If you're listening to this in the future, and there's no other time you could be listening to it, we don't know what's going to happen. This is the morning of the 1st of March. It could all fizzle out and some semblance of peace return, or we could be in World War III by the time I post this. Okay. Welcome to the Ramblers. First thing we could get to is the name. I don't know that we're going to keep the name the Ramblers. We haven't really discussed it. We're doing this very impromptu because we had talked about starting a podcast, but then last night, I was thinking it was at least a week before we did anything on it. And then last night, I started getting messages on my phone from the social media messages, notifications, that talked about something that has happened that we're going to talk about in tonight's episode. But before we get to that, let's introduce ourselves and I guess maybe a brief why we're doing it. I'm Wesley Green.
I'm Scott B. Smith.
Erykah Baker.
Thanks for joining me, guys. We used to do, and we may still do some, but I think we're going to shift more to this, and I'll tell you why. But we used to do a videos YouTube channel where I walked around and video the world, and you guys would join and talk about it and various other things as we walked. But we have had lots of technical difficulties, and I think maybe some conceptual difficulties on that. And we'll put off talking about that to some later date, I guess. But it has caused me to think, I don't actually get to participate in these conversations because I'm always occupied with walking and filming and doing other things. And I kind of wanted to start participating, start being part of the conversation. And I wanted us to talk about things without being distracted by various nice but not, essential elements in the real world that are on the screen. So that is why I wanted to start the podcast, and also to discuss things like what happened last night or what began last night. Do you guys want to add anything to that or ask me questions? Because we did this just suddenly, so sorry about that.
Oh no, I think it's a good idea because we're always talking, and then you get bits and pieces because you're literally trying to survive out in an open, busy road or walking down narrow pathways there. And so we're looking at stuff, and then we start talking about other things. So now we get to just focus, and then we'll do our adventures too. Hey, what about the Wanderers?
Did you say Wampers?
The Wanderers.
Oh, yeah, for a name. That's right. I just call it the Ramblers. I was taken straight from the show, from the channel, So that's a good idea. I'm going to write down ideas. The Wanderers.
I was like, isn't that just like a song? Well, it's The Wanderers, a song.
What is this? Podcast Bros, something like that?
I love that, the Podcast Bros, because that's what they call all these dudes over here that are just absolutely not supposed to talk, but we should.
Shouldn't talk. Probably shouldn't, but let's do it anyway. I feel like there was another one. Anyway, we'll continue on with the name. Don't to anyone listening, don't get married to the name. Because we may change it. But here's the reason. Well, anything else from you guys before we get started?
Also, don't get married to the name because it's not legally possible in any of the states.
It will not be legally
possible.
Yeah, that's also good advice.
Thank you.
So here's what happened last night. Here's the notifications I started getting on my social medias last night. We have started bombing Iran, and not in a nice way. And
no love bombing. Yeah.
And Iran has retaliated. They've hit several spots around the Middle East. If you're listening to this in the future, and there's no other time you could be listening to it, we don't know what's going to happen. This is the morning of the 1st of March. Well, I should say I'm in Hanoi, Vietnam. So For me, it's the morning of the 1st of March. For you guys, it's the evening of the 28th. So we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, it could all fizzle out and some semblance of peace return, or we could be in World War III by the time I post this. I'm actually going to try and post it in a few hours. But who knows? I mean, it's just, it's happened suddenly, and then I see reports that they've been planning it for months, which is entirely surprising because people have been talking about it for a while. Where should we go from there? I feel like there's a lot to discuss here. America's involvement around the world, tendency to start wars, our relationship with Iran. This is part of what's been going on in Israel over the past several years. Where would you guys like to start? What is your biggest concern?
My biggest concern, as always, is the loss of life and human suffering. I could give a crap less about how much money it costs or how many rich people have to lose a couple bucks over something, or their political power or anything like that. I'm worried about the cost both to our people in the area and people over here that could be hit by things like cyber attacks, which they're bracing for, and the people, of course, in Iran. Iranian, not state news, but sort of state adjacent news, reported this morning that one of the missiles in this joint U.S.-Israeli airstrike hit an all-girls elementary school, and there are dozens of children apparently dead and more wounded. This has not been corroborated by anyone else, and like many countries, of course, the Iranian government is not going to tell you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So we need some outside sources to confirm that. But that's the first, and then apparently they retaliated, and one of the missiles hit, I don't remember the city's name, in Israel. One person dead, 20-something people injured. And of course, those are going to be none of the people who decided this was a good idea.
Right. Because those people are already hunkered in bunkers and
not the Ayatollah. The Ayatollah has been, according to both Israeli news sources and President Trump, the Ayatollah has been killed.
And the state media is saying that the daughter and grandchild of Khomeini has been killed, but it says state media says, so, we have to...
Again, grain of salt with all that.
Because also, do we trust the word of Trump and this other, just anybody? We can't trust our state. When someone said state-run media says this, and I'm like, okay, ours now? Because that's what's happening here. You know what I mean?
Well, and also the Iranian state media, or I'm sorry, the media over there, I think it might have been also that state-adjacent media, reported just a few hours earlier that both their president and the Ayatollah were okay. And then a few hours later, we learned that they're apparently, at least the Ayatollah has been killed. So,
but we don't know that the Ayatollah has been killed, or because we only know that Trump has said it.
And the Israelis.
Liar. Also, I mean, like we always talk about Trump as if like he's the one that does it, and the government normally doesn't tell these sorts of lies, but the government tells all sorts of lies during war for psyops purposes, and they justify it.
And now what we have here is even worse, a regime going on to where they really love the lies, man. They're like outwardly saying, yeah, sure, we'll lie. They gaslight and lie and gaslight and lie. It's like a little layer cake of hell. You never know.
I mean, not that I need to tell you guys this, but this is part of the problem with electing a compulsive liar to I don't know if he's like clinically defined as a compulsive liar, but he just has a stream of untruths, and even his supporters acknowledge it, and they go, oh, that's just Trump. Well, yeah, but how do we know when he's being just Trump and when he's actually telling the truth? Like, we are not getting the information we need to make the decisions that we are called upon to make as citizens. that a democracy can't work like that. You can't elect someone who just lies often as he breathes into office, because now what's going on? We don't know what's going on even.
That's why I wanted to add the addition that the Israeli government is also not that they've been entirely truthful in the things they have been saying, especially during everything that's gone on with the Palestinians, that they are genociding over there, but they also said so. That's why I'm naming sources, so that you, the people at home, can decide if you want to believe it, or if something comes out to corroborate it. Hopefully it will, something more neutral. That's why I'm definitely citing my sources here. So
that's even the most important thing. I mean, obviously that's bad if we've essentially assassinated a foreign leader. That used to be considered off limits, but the more important thing is the large numbers of people that have and are about to be killed. If this escalates into a wider war,
part of the issue seems to be that Iran is also firing on our bases in other cities in other countries nearby, including Bahrain and United Arab Emirates, obviously Israel. But they're not going to win any friends that way. And Iraq is also obviously not their friends, but they're not going to win many friends that way. It may distance them from some of the other Arab countries, but I cannot believe for a moment that killing the Ayatollah will not bring about some very negative backlash in the Middle East.
So you're saying that killing the Ayatollah was a bad move because that's going to cause Muslim countries around the region to side with Iran?
Or to distrust the U.S. even more than they already do, and then
already rating a 0 on that scale.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, so incense them? I don't know. Like,
yeah.
I know that Arab states are going to be terrified of the U.S. war with Iran that hasn't even been declared, but they just went ahead and say, hey, let's just do it. Let's just do it.
Well, that's a good transition. Since I'm unfortunately limited on time, I'm sure this will not blow over by the time we record another one of these, but I just wanted to get our thoughts on it.
It won't.
Right away. That's a good transition to what's Congress's role in this and the various and many other adventures abroad that the United States goes on that we don't, officially declare war to be war, but which obviously are. Am I correct in recalling that war was never declared here in Vietnam?
That's correct.
Mm.
It was
right now I did just see somewhere that Congress, now this, of course, this doesn't really mean anything to me since I've seen them let this man get away with doing literally just anything and saying anything, but it says Congress is moving to restrict Trump's authority to launch further military actions, a bipartisan effort, blah, blah, blah. But, I mean,
well, then you're going to have to amend or repeal the War Powers Act, because that's what he's doing it under, and that's been in place for a while. I think maybe the 50s or 60s, and I think, don't hold me to that, but yes, and also even a Republican congressperson who has been critical of Trump in recent years, he's from Kentucky, named Massey, has said everybody here needs to vote on this so that you will know who your congressperson and senators, what they're supporting. They will be on record as either supporting this or not with a vote.
There's supposed to be a war powers resolution vote through, these people. I mean, but, that doesn't help right now. It does get the ball rolling, but that ball should have been rolling, right when his new term started, because it was about to be an onslaught. It's a revenge tour.
I think I will write my blog post this week on the fallacy of the War Powers Resolution. 1973, Scott, was enacted over the...
Okay, so I got it wrong.
President Richard Nixon to limit the president's authority to commit U.S. armed forces to hostile foreign situations without congressional authorization following the Vietnam War. So I'll probably write on that. I think there's a bigger thing going on here, though, that is the expansion of the power of the White House. If you rewind 100 years, and especially if you look at the Constitution, the president is not supposed to have the enormous power that he does have. In fact, one of the things that's supposed to be, a hallmark of the American system is the division of powers. But even that, I would say, is kind of bullshit. Maybe I'll work that into the post as well, because the Congress has 90% of the power. It's not divided evenly between three branches. They make all the rules. The Supreme Court can only overrule them if they violate the Constitution. The Supreme Court can't, as is often said, they can't actually just legislate from the bench.
No, but they did rule that what the president did on his tariffs was illegal. Not that it was unconstitutional, that it was illegal under the law that he cited as his basis for doing that, the IEE, how many, some E's, 2 or 3 E's, P's law.
It wasn't supposed to be about emergency tariffs, right?
Perhaps. I'm not sure what the differences are, but they say he can reenact most of them through other means. And of course, he said during his State of the Union or some such that they had actually, they've given me more power. And it's like, no, you just should use the correct law to begin with, and we wouldn't be in this boat. In fact, Kavanaugh, in his dissenting opinion, went through and listed all the ways that they could get around it, so it was nice of him to do their homework for them. They didn't do it the first time, so...
They didn't do it the first time, but all of the stuff that they've been doing is they're just opening up the instruction manual, which I think was called Project 2025.
It was.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just following the instructions in the manual.
I mean, stuff like everything. Just hey, here we go. And okay, because they're doing everything that was in Project 2025 that they've listed, that they've even spoken about. Like he's been saying, they're like, oh, we said the quiet part out loud. That's all this man has been doing. He's got diarrhea of the mouth. But what people didn't realize, and everywhere, can it just, never mind, I won't even say it, but okay, like, someone like, some of the red hats that I know, the Trump supporters, the occultists, not the ones that are like, oh, I respect the office of the presidency, fine, whatever, ride that fence, but, the ones that are really gung-ho about him, they see this as action, as something that he said he was going to do, and he's doing, and so they think that he's reliable. That's what they see.
I mean, reliable, I don't know if that's
but based on what he said he was going to do, that's what they think. They think that he is truthful, which is hilarious. They think he's strong because meanness translates to strength to them. And they think that anything that he's done to reverse anything from Biden or Obama policies over the years, that's great. Good. We want that because whatever. He's doing something, you see. See, that man does what he says.
Promises kept.
In a weird way, they're right. I've always thought that about Trump. He's this bizarre, compulsive liar that will lie about the weather as it's happening. And yet, at the same time, he does not have the presence of mind to shut up when he's doing something massively illegal and at least try to hide it or distract from it or make an excuse. No, he just goes into interviews and says, yep, I did that illegal thing. That's me.
That's because he's never faced consequences, and he never will.
That is absolutely right. At this point, he's too old to face consequences for any of the things from, violating the War Powers Act right up to, the Epstein, all the stuff that's in the Epstein files, which I hate to use the argument, if there's smoke, there's fire, but just because he hasn't been convicted of anything in those files, he has been convicted of many other things, but just because he hasn't been tried and convicted in those doesn't mean that there's nothing there, even if he didn't do everything people suspect he did.
There's literally something there, and the FBI had investigations into it. Nothing was ever completed because people were threatened out of actually prosecuting him, like helping to prosecute him. People have killed themselves. People have, there are survivors, and they're, not just from Epstein specifically, but it's in the files. Like, these are just little ones that these idiots just halfway released. Okay, they haven't released all of it. There's no transparency. they've redacted the names of the actual perpetrators, but allowed the names of the victims to be published. So, this is all intentional, and they know that he's some way culpable. Even if people somehow think that this man who said he would want his daughter, or said he would grab someone by the pussy, okay, even if they think this guy is all a good all around guy that would never assault a woman, even though he said he was creeping in these teenagers, pageant rooms, even though the pageant people that are involved in all of this said that they were harassed and assaulted. You see what I'm saying? There's too much. Yes. Smoke, fire. Yes.
Also, he was not convicted of sexual assault or rape. He was found civilly liable for it by a jury. And
that's only because something that statute of limitations, wasn't it? Like, he couldn't be tried for it criminally because it happened so long ago. Isn't that what it was? Or maybe I shouldn't.
I'm not sure about that.
I don't remember
whatever his legal team can do to get him out of it, they do all the time. I hate it when people call him Teflon Don. It's like he's swift about it. It's literally just the people that are paid gobs of money to prop up this pedophile rapist Teflon Don. Because nothing sticks to him.
Nothing sticks to him.
Yeah, vomit. Okay, but yeah, it's because of that.
And that's a compliment.
Yeah, they love. Are you serious? Have you met Republicans? Have you met the Trumpers, especially? Oh my God, they love that. They're like, see, I would do that. That's the other thing. They wish that they could be as vulgar as him and get away with it. They wish that they could do the things that he does and says. That's why they like him. You know what I mean?
Well, on this note, let me set us up for our next episode, and I'll schedule it sometime next week. I hope you guys will be able to join. And I'm sorry this one was so short. I just had those mic issues and couldn't get it all together. But what I was going to set up was, as bad as Trump is, this is not a redemption of him. But a lot of what he's doing is shit the United States has done for years and years and years. He just packs it in a lot more rapid succession. Especially like attacking Iran. Okay, I mean, I'm living in Vietnam now. This was an illegal invasion that we conducted in Southeast Asia.
I mean, the invasion of Venezuela, a month ago, and that was also,
that was also illegal. Yeah, you're not allowed to go into other countries and abduct their leaders because you don't like them, or even if you think they've committed crimes,
or just steal their ships. Which we've done.
That was actually even more. I mean, I'm no fan of Maduro, so I mean, you're not supposed to do that. But he also just went in and stole their oil. He's just like, I'm going to steal these ships. It's ours now because we're pirates.
And then also with Venezuela, with blocking oil to Cuba, has basically caused massive. Well, there's no electric there, so that's it. There's no power. They've run out. There's what I was reading. There's sewage issues. People are starving now because there's a lot going on, because obviously that one thing leads to a whole bunch of other things.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And the two things could be true. Maduro's bad. Trump is an illegally, I really feel like illegally elected. Let's say he was legally elected. Let's say that there was no tampering, because that could be a conspiracy theory, but who knows? Because so much crap has been involved with this man and the people that are propping him up. But he's a bad guy. He's a bad person.
Guy.
Well,
I've got about 5 minutes left before I have to switch to my tutoring class that I do. Again, sorry for cutting it short, but in those 5 minutes, my thought was, and you can tell me if you disagree, I kind of hate to do fluff. I hate to see when there's really serious news issues all over and very important things going on. But I know that when I end anything, whether I'm listening to it or engaging in the discussion myself, and I just end on the world is all the world's a schlock sort of ending point. I do not feel good later. And I don't know if it's better to make yourself try and alleviate that or not, but my thought was we should end each episode with some fluff. What do you guys think?
Oh yeah, I like a good fluff.
Yeah, I just a little dose of fluff to keep me from losing my mind, which I feel like it's happening anyway. So to you guys, I put some stuff in the little message I sent. It was just completely random. Fluff is never topical, really, or it's not news anyway. I guess sometimes it is. Do you guys have any fluff you would like to introduce? Anything you'd like to talk about that's not so serious?
Just literally anything, because there's always little personal, like, happy things. But I mean, I don't think what we've been talking about is the end, because like you were saying, this has been an ongoing thing. It's just an onslaught of it because of Diarrhea Mouth Man. You know what I mean? But there are other people that are probably going to be like, okay, we've ridden his coattails and we're getting what we can out of it. But they're going to eventually, either he's going to kick the bucket or they're going to stop him. And then there you go. Now, stop, what I mean is, like, they'll kind of limit some things and then be like, okay, Grandpa, go out there and play golf while we do other crap, which is what they've kind of been doing anyway. So I think everything will be okay for us in general for the time being, but other people,
we may be entering an age where places like, and certainly I think Iran was not a good choice. One of the reasons we've never gotten into a direct conflict with them is they are not a weak or developing nation. And America's modus operandi is to go up against undeveloped nations so that they can't fight back. But Iran can. They have some resources. They're not the most powerful country on the planet, but they're not China, for instance. But they have money and they have resources, and they could strike back. And I wondered myself, like, what will happen? How will the average American's view of all of this change if they are suddenly the ones under attack? Whether it's cyber attacks or, terrorist attacks or an actual missile or something like that, how would their view change? A lot of people are so gung-ho for war. How many people would flip the minute it was, their child's school that was on fire?
It's still just too late. I think that they won't learn. They wouldn't learn. It would be in real time anyway, so it would be moot at that point, because they're already, everybody's still getting killed here if that was the case, or somebody is, because they've seen things happen anyway and still deny it, still act like it's okay.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I think you can look at 9/11 and see generally what will probably happen.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, but that's a very different thing. That was one attack on one day over 20 years ago, and people are still upset about it. What if that had happened every day for years and years? Would that change what?
But what I'm saying is that would have to happen here for these people, for them to think that it was going, because it's, everyone's like, well, it'll be okay now, but what's going to happen? You see what I'm saying? They don't think it's going to happen. People here, like, especially that whole cult, they really don't think anything can happen to them, or
right.
and that.
Yeah.
So no, they didn't think any of the bad stuff that he was promising to do was going to affect them at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And even when it does, they're still bootlicking, though. So, I mean,
is his erosion in support real? Maybe we should save that question for next time. Let's shelve that.
Well, yeah, shelve it, because we got some talkings to do about that. Yeah.
Well, thanks for the happy fluff at the end, guys.
Well, wait. I mean, I was just trying to be a little hopeful. I was like, well, for right now, to not freak out for the next couple of weeks. Let's see what happens, because
when I said fluff, I meant like Asian malls are cool, right? What's wrong with American malls? And then we chat about that.
Oh, well, I just found a really good recipe for more ube dessert bars, so I'm going to make those. That's a little fluff.
All right. Well, you can give us your recipe for eBay dessert bars next episode. Thank you guys for joining. I appreciate it. We will do this again soon. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
I don't want to leave.